house that you passed. That was the home of Frederick Schwartz. He's the blockade liquor distiller, one of the many in here, that was busted by a group of revenuers. And when they shot up the still and arrested some of them, Mr. Schwartz managed to get away. Now he is buried over in that Pleasant Hill Drake family cemetery. His stone and his wife's stone. He also married a Brown. He was a little tiny man, and there was a chauffeur for the revenue agents named Clarence Fatty Howard from Tuxedo. And he used to pick little Fred up and put him over his shoulder like a bag of potatoes and humiliate that little man. And you know how little men are. You know, a lot of ego, and they do things that we normally wouldn't do. And he told Fatty Howard, he said, I'm going to get you if it's the last thing I do, fat boy. And they all showed up on Main Street in front of the Justice Pharmacy the next morning. That was May 21st, 1930. And I've got all the news clippings from the trials. He shot Fatty in the head. Oh. Fatty was taken to Pat Memorial Hospital and died the next day from those gunshot wounds. Well, that rock house is where Fred and his family lived. And it was all constructed with stones harvested right on the grounds. Now there's Mrs. Lakey that still owns that side of the street and this side of the street. There's 10 acres of what she owns. John Bates Brown owned 90 acres in here. And he left 10 acres each to 9 grandchildren. And this granddaughter still has it. Real nice lady. And she's proud of her distilling background. You know, a lot of folks would not share their photos with me because they said, we don't want this stuff publicized. You know, those skeletons that historians hate, that they hide. But Mrs. Lakey is right proud of her heritage. And you know, I have nothing against the distillers. I hold nothing against them. They came from parts of the world, Wales and England and Scotland, where heavy taxes were levied on what they felt that they had an inalienable right to not be taxed on. So they came here seeking that and religious freedom and everything else. And here the government wants a piece of it. And so, I mean, they were eking out a living, they were farming, they were bartering in those days. Let them be.
Anyway, you know, it didn't really get to be a bad problem to Prohibition in 1920.
And the temperance movement.
So that's when things got violent. Tell them, this is original. They had to put new chinking in it.
Yes,
right?
well, of course, when you move a log structure, you can't move the foundations and the chimney in one piece. Now, I have pictures of log cabins being moved in one piece on the back of a big flatbed bed truck, but you never see the stonework. It just doesn't make sense. It would fall apart. The home itself is vulnerable enough, but you see they, down at Wolf Shoals, they took this cabin, lifted it up, put it on big logs and rolled it up here. But they brought up the stonework and rebuilt the chimney and the foundations and set it upon that. Now the chinking in between the logs was all deteriorated, and it was mostly mud, it wasn't mortar. And so the Mullis family, and you'll see the name Mullis hanging above that porch over there, Betty Lakey's parents, the Mullises re-chinked that whole thing with concrete to stabilize the building.
But it's still one of our few original ones still left. So she said you can walk around it, take pictures and everything, and then as soon as we do that, we need to get moving. We're almost 45 minutes behind, and we got folks waiting up to unlock a gate for us.
Well, it's all Gary's and my fault.
Mostly Gary's.
Now, you're with the king is who you were talking about. Do you
Correct.
any of the kings in Brevard, Transylvania County?
Yes, that's my line.
Mary Jane.
Yes, McCrary,
King,
yeah.
McCrary.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still friends. Her daughter Martha, who lives in Salisbury, has now bought a place back up toward Balsam Grove and comes back and forth some. But I'm friendly with her. And then some of her cousins, Dottie Vanneman.
Yes, I know Dottie.
She lives.
Hadn't seen her in a while. How's she doing?
Well, not so good.
I didn't think.
You need to, she lives about 3 houses up the street from me.
Yeah, she's getting up there in years.
And then her cousins
let's see,
Caroline and Eleanor. Eleanor died 2 or 3 years ago, but Caroline is married to one of my Patton cousins.
Okay.
From back when.
All righty. And remind me your name again, sir.
Bill Kimsey.
Bill Kimsey. Yes. Okay.
And my great grandparents Kimsey and all are from Mills River. My mother's family's from down there. But anyway,
that's my line. They are descended from Samuel Jr. Samuel King Jr.
Okay, well, see, Dottie has a couple of old photographs.
Yes.
I mean, you know, those old-fashioned ones hanging. As a matter of fact, I had supper with her a couple of nights ago. Oh, you ought to go see her. She is,
I need to go see her. I
well,
really do.
she's one of my favorite
Does she still play the harp?
No, because she's fallen and she has horrible
There's my
osteoporosis.
information. Yeah.
And-
Do contact me. I would like to stay in touch with you.
Okay, I will, and I can give you again.
Okay.
But
It's easier if you'll just shoot me an email.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm a computer illiterate. But,
Oh,
So
okay.
where do you actually live?
I live in Mills River.
Oh, okay, near where? See, I've got a lot of relatives there.
Well, I'm off of 191 in the little retirement community there called River Oak.
Okay, I'm not familiar. I'm just like, all my relatives are buried.
Well, you know
in
where all the
Mills
Van
River,
Wingerden complex is, right in there.
Well, see, then a great aunt of mine, her father was William Fleming Kimsey, who fought in the Civil War, and she just worshipped him. But she married Tom Osborne, that lived across from some of Van Wingerden's stuff there.
Yes, okay.
The big old house burned years ago.
Oh.
And they lived in a little log cabin right there on the highway, sort of where the water treatment plant is.
Well,
now.
and you see, that's another search that I'm on.
And
There was a
they're
big house that
buried-
was raised to build that plant. And
Well, no,
the legend is that was Joseph
One day
King's
go up there.
home, brother of Sam Jr. I'm talking a big home, big two-story.
Well, this one that was the Osbornes, and see, I have a Britain relatives from all in there.
Sure.
Married in together, and we do have had some reunions in the last few years. But
Well, it's like we say, all the old original names were all related. You know.
and Terrell Guerin, that
Yes.
okay, I got one of his newest books about all the Henderson County Civil War veterans out of the library. I always go to the new book shelf, you know, in the
Yeah.
library, and so since Christmas this year, I've gotten in touch with him and talked to him, and I have stuff that he wanted. I mean, he copied a bunch of stuff. And man,
Well, I tell you
can't believe
what.
all these people. But you know, as long as you talk and ask questions, you will
That's
find
how you
out
learn.
if
Yes.
you're not related to
Did you
people,
see-
you've got mutual
That's right.
relatives.
Did you see the photo of the old mill in Brevard that was washed away?
King's
Mill.
Yeah, yeah.
The one I'm talking about there's two young ladies standing in front of that mill. One of those two was Dottie Vanneman's mother.
Well, I
Jessie.
guess she has it probably.
Oh, she's got it,
that
yeah.
I've seen, because there's pictures that she has when she was a little girl and this,
Yes.
that, and the other.
Yes.
And well, anyway,
We'll pick this back up over there.
Brevard.
Well,
We've
see,
got
I moved to Mills River from Brevard. That's where I first lived.
Well, where were you originally? I mean,
Well, I was born and raised in Atlanta.
Oh,
My parents moved away from here at the end of World War II. I'll catch up with you.